All right, prehistory. This is cave art. Right, so this is how they would communicate before there was even the invention of writing. Something else that archaeologists use before to kind of put the story together. We'll get to that too. All right, archaeologists. What I want you to highlight here is the word artifacts. All right, because it's before the invention of writing. All right, we need archaeologists to kind of put those pieces together. And how they do that is excavations where they would dig up things from the past, right, and try and figure out the significance of it. Try and decipher language, or try and figure out what their lives were like. Okay? Culture. Culture is a people's unique way of life. What I want you to highlight here is way of life. It's really important, right? What are some, for Scholar Bones, raise your hand. What are some aspects of American culture? Like what are some things you could have or things that you do that would give people a clue that you live in America? Michelle, what's one thing?
We go to public schools.
Okay, public school, that could be one. I like that. That's definitely more than just American culture as well.
Your clothing.
Your clothing? What about your clothing could let people know you're American?
Like a U.S. flag. Okay,
maybe a U.S. flag, sure. Sports teams, right? If you're wearing a jersey from a sports team that's your favorite, that could let people know you are American. Something else? Megan and then Michelle?
The way you act.
Can you be more specific?
The way you speak.
The way you wear your clothes, that could be one. I was in Europe this summer, and guys wear their clothes much tighter than here. Right. Or even your haircut. Your speak, how would you know if that you're American based on language? What would you speak?
Either Arabic, Japanese, Chinese.
No.
In America?
English.
Wait, could you repeat what you just said?
What about American culture would let you know based on language? Right, so if you're talking about language, what language would we be speaking that would give people a clue that we are American?
English.
English. Excellent. Okay. Michelle, do you have another one?
I'm not sure.
But all based on their accent.
We say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh my, of course that's right. Excellent. That's a custom. All right? That's a unique thing that we do here. That's all part of our culture. It's very good. That's an excellent example. Another one? One more.
When you're asking for directions and people don't understand what you're saying.
Well, that would let people know that you're not in the same culture, right? You're not speaking the same language.
Pretty
What
much
about the Star Spangled Banner song?
Absolutely. Music is a huge one. Okay? Clothing is a big one. Religion, right? We have a lot of different religions in the world, but traditionally, the U.S. has kind of more of a Christian, right? We celebrate Christmas. We have Christmas off as a holiday. Good job. All right. Technology. All right? Technology is ways that humans adapt their knowledge, tools, and inventions to meet their needs. What I want you to highlight here is tools and inventions. All right? That's the main thing, what technology is. So what's like one of the biggest pieces of technology that you use every day that has really been kind of an evolution of a knowledge and kind of to help you meet your needs even beyond? Michelle?
A phone.
Yeah, what kind of phone?
iPhone.
An iPhone, all right, or cell phone? Yeah? Okay. Smartphone. How much has that completely adapted our lives?
A lot.
A lot. Think about it, right? You never even have to ask directions anymore because you have a GPS on your phone. You never even have to ask somebody a question because you can Google it from your pocket. Right? You don't have to memorize anyone's phone number anymore. Okay? Because it's all right there on your phone. Question? Tools and inventions. All right? Is everybody with us? All right. Primary and secondary sources. All right, you guys did some practice on this in your packet. Did a really good job. All right, a primary source, remember, an original record of that time. So Diary of Anne Frank, the example that Michelle had, perfect. It has to be written by a person that was there, that actually saw it. All right? What I want you to write or highlight here is original. That's really key. for a primary source? Is your textbook a primary source?
Yes.
It is?
No.
No. It's not a primary source. Okay? Because it might have a primary source in it, but it's not written by somebody who was there. Right? An example is a letter, a diary, photography, or an artifact. Okay? But the photography has to be from there. So if I went to Egypt and took a picture of the pyramids themselves are a primary source. But since I'm not Egyptian, I'm not an ancient Egyptian, right? That picture would not be a primary source. All right? A secondary source is a source that summarizes, analyzes, or attempts to explain primary source. What I want you to do here is highlight summarize. Your textbook is really the most perfect example of a secondary source. Okay? Because it summarizes everything that happened. We don't have to do all the work of the historians and the archaeologists and the anthropologists. All right? They already give us the summary in your book. All right? Now it's your turn to think. Put some pieces together. Now you will transfer from your highlighter to your pen or your pencil to answer these questions. How do technological advances affect a culture? You can think about our culture and our technology in the U.S. All right? How has your iPhone changed our culture? How has downloading music changed culture? Okay? How has fast food drive-thrus changed culture? All right? Lots of technology that has changed the way we live. All right? And then, second question, what is a primary source that you have with you today? I want to give you guys about 5 minutes to answer those two questions, and then we will share. All right, prehistory. Go ahead and highlight where it's already bolded for you. Prehistory is before writing. Okay? So between 100,000 and 400,000 years ago, the very first early humans emerged in Africa, in Northeast Africa. And we'll talk about those different types in just a minute. All right? And they migrated. What's migrated mean? Migrated, Michelle? Excellent. When you move from one place to another. Okay? That's migration. So people, the earliest humans come from Africa, but then they migrated to other parts of the world. We'll talk about how they did that as well, too.
I was going to say to settle.
To settle in other parts of the country? Or other parts of the world? Yeah.
That's
But
what I was going to
the
say.
migration specifically means movement. The moving of people. Okay? All right. So how do we know? How do we know what we know? Right? How do the archaeologists tell us that, for example, how do we know that prehistory was 400,000 years ago? All right? What we know by carbon dating. I'm going to pause this first, actually. From, okay, there we go. Okay, so how we figure out how old something is? Carbon dating. That's why we know when these different time periods happened. All right, because we're going to see human migration to these different continents. We're going to look at their bones, look at their artifacts, and then know how long ago it was. Okay, humans first started here in Northeast Africa, and they're going to move to all parts of the world. And what we'll study next is why these first civilizations began about right over here, right? And what made that part of the earth so important for humans. All right, the earliest humans. First one we have is Australopithecus, or Lucy. What I want you to do here is number as we go. All right, so Lucy's number 1. So put a big old number 1 next to Australopithecus, or Lucy. Why do you think they named her Lucy? Let me back up even. Who do you think got to name her? The archaeologists that discovered her. Excellent. All right? The archaeologists that discovered Lucy, the earliest human, got to name her. Same thing happens for biologists. If they discover a new species of fish or insects, they get to name it. All right? At the time, the Beatles song, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, was really popular. and he named her after Lucy. All right? About Lucy. Oops, sorry. All right, the oldest human remains. Okay, so go ahead and highlight oldest right there. I want you to also highlight found in East Africa. All right, all these early humans are going to be found in kind of the same area. Okay, lived 3.2 million years ago, way after the dinosaurs are long and gone. The Flintstones lied to you. Right? 3.5 feet tall, much shorter than we are today. Right? Long arms, short legs, and small brain. Lucy looks a lot like what other kind of animal that you might see today?
An ape.
An ape, very good. All right, our closest biological relatives are apes. All right, next, all right, as we evolve, we have Homo habilis. Homo habilis is an early human, the first early human that was able to use tools. Go ahead and highlight tools there. And what number should you put on this slide? 2. Okay? Homo habilis, man with tools. All right? Simple tools, right? He doesn't have a cell phone, right? He's probably going to use like a big rock. Also found in East Africa. Okay? 1.8 million years ago. We're starting to get a little bit taller now. 4.5 feet. Long arms, smaller face and teeth. Slightly larger brain than Australopithecus. What I want you to highlight here too is oral communication. All right? If you have oral communication, what are you doing? Talking. Okay? Now, Homo habilis is not going to have the same advanced language like we have today. But if you say, right? Like that, you kind of know what we're talking about. So if Homo habilis is hanging out with his clan, migrating looking for food, right? If he says to the rest of his clan, he's not saying, oh, look, guys, there's a deer over there. But everybody else is going to understand what he means, right? That very basic early communication, like when you're a baby. All right, up next. What number goes on this slide? 3. Homo erectus. All right? Lucy and Homo habilis, they would walk much more like this, right? Closer to an 8. Homo erectus is going to be closer to us and walk upright.
What was that?
So scary.
Yeah,
That's middle school lunch.
Imagine a person
Lucy
just
coming
coming
out.
up to you, walking like that.
Well, they were all like that.
Die.
All right? But as we evolve, right, from those early primates, we don't need to walk like that anymore. Right? Lucy would like you could see on her hands. Her hands are much longer. She'd walk on her knuckles. Okay? As we develop the brains and the bodies to stand more upright as a few million years pass, right? Then we have Homo erectus. All right, the man who walks upright. Again, found where?
Africa.
So all early humans were found where? Africa, okay? And now we're getting taller. 5.5 to 6 feet. Larger brain. Prominent brow ridges. We'll look at some of these skulls in a minute. Shortened face. And the first hunter-gatherers. Okay? So the original, like Lucy, they would have mostly just eaten like we see apes today. Trees, maybe some bugs, yep. But this idea of creating tools and actually killing animals to eat, that's going to come with Homo erectus. So far, which ones are we the most like? Homo erectus, definitely, okay. Also, these were the first to use fire. Go ahead and highlight hunters and gatherers, and then use of fire. Right here. I'm going to have to pause this.